All right, hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Sports Plug with X Williams and my boy Ishmael Siryon.
What up? What up?
All right, you already know the deal. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on Twitter, please make sure you follow my handle at X underscore 81 Williams. I'm sorry, underscore Williams 81. I apologize for that. I'm trying to check out my Facebook stream. My Facebook stream is a little messed up at the moment. Let's make sure that this is all ready to go. All right, let's make sure we got this up and running. All right, sorry about that. Broadcast was a little tampered with on the Facebook side, but we're up and running now. Like I said, we are on Facebook. Please make sure you like and share. If you are on Twitter, please make sure you follow at X underscore 80 Williams 81. If you are on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell on YouTube as well. Alrighty then, let's go ahead and get into everything. Week 16 preview. Ishmael, it's been a crazy week so far. I should say first couple of games so far, and with week 16 here, we are finally done with the regular season. Not just yet, of course, one more week, but I'm saying we are getting very, very close. And like we said, hey, since week one-ish, we did say that this season would go by slow but quickly. And look at where we're at. We are done with Christmas. New Year's Eve is about to come up. We're almost done with 2020, and we're almost done with this NFL season.
Yeah, man. I mean, it has flown by, but at the same time, it has been a long season. But I would agree with you. Pretty much this is playoffs. A lot of these teams now, they're playing for their playoff lives, fighting to get in. The AFC is tight. The NFC, we still got the NFC East where nobody wants to win the division. So, playoffs it's kind of started early with these last 2 weeks here.
I definitely agree. And of course, with the changes made this year due to COVID, with adding a 7th team, it's made getting into the playoffs even more exciting because you have so many teams with those last two spots, either 6 or 7 seed, trying to get in on both sides of the conference.
Yep. Yeah. The extra spot has made it even more interesting. Possibly 3 teams from one division will pop in. So we'll have to wait and see.
This is very true. And speaking of adding extras, of course, any other time you join the pre-show, we'll talk about the games. But we want to talk about some headlines that have been making news this morning. The NFL is expected to add a 17th game next season. They were talking about this throughout this whole season, but nothing has been concrete. And with this coming out now, I don't know how about you, Ish, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of adding another regular season game. I think that they're pretty much in a good spot where they are right now. I actually would like to just see, without adding a 17th game, just shortening the preseason a little bit. Maybe 2-game preseason, even a 3-game preseason. Because I do understand you got to get some reps for some of the people that are fighting for spots on the team. And coming out of training camp, you got to get some live reps for your starters as well. But I don't like another game on the regular season. That to me is it's too much.
Well, your wish is their command. They are actually dropping the preseason games to 2. If they have this 17-game season, they'll have 2 preseason games, and you'll have 17 regular season games. And let's also remember, before our time, there were 14 regular season games in the NFL.
Yep.
So throughout the history of the NFL, there have been games added on. The last undefeated season was with the Miami Dolphins, and they went 16-0 because, of course, they played 14, and they won their playoff game, and then won, of course. They played 3 playoff games, so they went 13-0 in the regular season, and then they won 3 playoff games. So over time, as we've seen that the NFL has grown more and more. So something has to give, and that's one of those things when it comes to not just the NFL, but the NBA and MLB, when it comes to players and the ownership having to negotiate deals. And this is one of those things where, because of TV deals, they have to make a move on the owner's side when it comes to being able to make that money back.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really what this is all about. It all comes down to money, right? Like
Oh
they
yeah,
are doing this solely for the money. And as TV deals continue to grow and get larger, I only expect to hear more conversations about putting more regular season games in and taking out, preseason games or whatever. Even adding more teams to the playoffs just to make
exactly.
it
That's what I
more
was gonna get
exciting.
at. Yep.
So yeah, it's not. It's I definitely expected something like this, but at the same time, I don't like it. I don't think that these guys should be playing 17 regular season games and then the playoffs added on. As we know, the sport it takes a big toll on your body, and just to be adding more games is, to me, is crazy.
Well, unfortunately, we'll just have to wait and see what direction they go with the NFL. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we had that 17 game. But one thing I know about the NFL, they will find a way to make it seem like it has worked everybody's wild, the same way they do in politics in the United States. But we're gonna leave that for another. We're gonna leave that for another episode. Shout out to Randy. He says, "Are the Browns going to win today?" We'll definitely talk about that very shortly. They should win, but the reason why Randy is asking that because apparently we have a outbreak with the receiver group in Cleveland when it comes to COVID-19. So we'll get in that real shortly. Of course, speaking of NFL teams, before we get to the actual games, we just want to talk about Urban Meyer might be making his coaching debut in the NFL. We all know, of course, he's a pretty damn good college coach with Utah, Florida, and Ohio State. Apparently, there's some news going around that Urban Meyer could make it into the NFL. No teams at the moment, but there are some teams apparently might be eyeing for Urban Meyer's comeback in the coaching ranks. Now, Ish and I talked about this in the pre-show, and if you want to go ahead and say what you said to me.
I mean, I just think that if you're a University of Texas fan, you have to feel some type of way about this because, the whole thing was UT wanted Urban Meyer. They were going to go out. They were going to offer whatever it took to get him. And he politely turned them down and said, for my health, I'm going to pass. And then if this man goes and takes an NFL job, UT, man, how you have fallen.
Well, you're being very nice about it. I'm gonna get on Urban Meyer right quick because for him to keep going to the health situation, I don't want to call him a hypocrite, but I just want to just say, I see you. I see you, Urban. And
Hey,
we're gonna leave it alone like that. We're gonna
he
leave it
went
at
up to
that.
a toxic situation at University of Texas.
All right, if that's the case, then don't come to the Jets. Don't come to the Texans. Don't come to the Detroit Lions. Don't go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. You better not go. There's a lot of NFL teams you better not go to then if that's the case.
Okay.
All right then. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and we're gonna talk a little bit about these games. Not too much. We gonna wait for the recap show to talk about the games that have already played on Friday afternoon football with the Vikings and Saints. Of course, that was our Christmas special game. And then also the Buccaneers and Lions, the 49ers and Cardinals, and the Dolphins and Raiders. We're just going to touch up a little bit on them right now, and we'll wait until Tuesday to talk about them. First things first, with the Vikings and Saints, the Saints, of course, took care of business. But I will say this before we go on to the Dolphins. With the Buccaneers and Lions. I know the Saints won 52-33, but I am a little bit worried about Drew Brees. If you look at Drew Brees' stats and you look and saw the way that he played, I am worried. And it's not and I know they won. I understand they beat the mess out of the Vikings. They probably put a little bit of extra on it because of the way the Vikings have been beating them the last couple of years in the playoffs. But when the Saints get into the playoffs, we have to wait and see how they are going to be able to construct this offense, because if defenses are smart, you need to go ahead and take Kamara away. After that, we have to wait and see how Breeze is able to reconnect with Mike Thomas, because Mike Thomas is not going to play the rest of the regular season. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Saints are able to use their offense in the postseason because you are going to have to implement Taysom Hill. You have to, right? Because he's going to give your team a spark, kind of like the Fitzpatrick did for the Dolphins on that offensive side of the ball. And that's something Drew Brees is going to have to put his ego to the side if he wants to win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. I'm going to save what I got to say for Tuesday, but I do got some interesting takes on the Saints.
I do as well, and we'll definitely wait and save that for Tuesday. Chad Bowe says, what teams can y'all see upsetting a higher seed to sneak into the Super Bowl?
Well, I don't want to give away any spoilers for picks this week, but one of them being the Oilers. I can see the Oilers doing it depending on the situation.
Now, my bad. Now, what does he mean that by lower seeds? I mean wild card. You talking about somebody in the wild card 5 through 7 that's making a run like Aaron Rodgers did to win his first Super Bowl? Or are we talking about
just a lower seed beating the higher?
Okay, are we talking about people that are out of the 1 and 2 seeds that can upset?
Because it makes a difference. Because if you're talking about just the lower seeds beating like the 1s and 2s in the conference, like I said, the Oilers. I would also have to say the Browns have the right recipe to possibly do that. On the NFC side, I'd say the Rams. They with that defense, you never know. That's about it. I mean, are we considering the Bucs a lower seed? Because technically speaking,
well, at the moment they are in the sixth seed.
They're going to be a wild card. So.
Yes, I mean technically yes, I would put them in there.
Okay, well then, yeah, maybe the Bucs.
For me, honestly, only the Rams, because I have them going to the NFC Championship game, and then the Buccaneers, depending on how they play in the postseason and who their matchup is. I'm very interested to see who they match up with because who knows, maybe they could play the Saints in the first round. And even though the Saints have beaten them in the regular season, it is very hard to beat a divisional opponent for a third time in the postseason. So we have to wait and see how everything comes about when all the postseason scheduling is done and made and all that good stuff.
Oh, so, real quick on this game.
What's up?
I'm pretty sure that loss to the Saints knocked the Vikings out of playoff contention. So
yes, the Vikings are done. Yeah, Vikings are done.
Not be in the playoffs. We'll see you next year in Minnesota. Justin Jefferson had a hell of a year, but right now Stephon Diggs kind of might be sitting in Buffalo laughing at y'all.
Well, he will, but let's be real. If you were somebody that thought Adam Thielen was going to be able to do what Diggs were doing, then that's sad on y'all's part because Adam Thielen ain't what Stephon Diggs is. But that's another story for another day. Yes, sir. All right, another Saturday afternoon football game. Buccaneers and Lions. Buccaneers took care of business. Tom Brady looked like Tom Brady of old, but we're not going to put too much on this game because it's the Lions. So, again, we'll talk about that on Tuesday. 49ers and Cardinals. Unfortunately for us, we did pick the Cardinals in this game. Cardinals scoring 12 points, man. We're going to talk about that on Tuesday as well.
We're gonna talk about that on Tuesday.
Because we'll say that for Tuesday.
Granted, the 49ers are no joke, and we have constantly
we talked about this every week.
Like, every week, they are better than their record reflects, and Kyle Shanahan gets his guys ready to play. But at the same time, I'm done with them. Yeah, I'm done with the Cardinals.
Yep. Gotta feel the same way over here. All right. So, and then also Saturday Night Football. Saturday Night Football. I apologize. Saturday Night Football. Dolphins Raiders. Dolphins won by a point. I hope that y'all got to check out that last 3 minutes of that game because that's all you pretty much needed to watch because that game was pretty amazing towards the end of that game. And again, we'll talk. Yes, Fitzmagic came out and did what he did, and again, we'll talk more about that on Tuesday. Okay, so you guys are here for a Sunday preview show, and that's what you got. You guys came here to see that, and that's what we guys are bringing you. So, the Bengals and Texans. This is one of those games where nobody gives a damn about who wins this game just because both teams are out of playoff contention and both teams are pretty much playing for pride at this moment. Maybe the Texans more than the Bengals. Shit, maybe even the Bengals. They showed up last week against the Steelers. So with this game, we both picked the Texans, but do you think the Bengals might be able to show up a little bit like they did against the Steelers, or was that game against the Steelers their Super Bowl and they don't really care anymore?
I think they can show up if the defense plays kind of like how they played Pittsburgh. I think they can show up. The problem is I think that they were up for that game because it's a divisional rival They had been down. They lost 2 in a row. And so the atmosphere is just different when you're playing a divisional rival. The Texans are not your divisional rival. The Texans aren't that good. I don't think anybody from Cincinnati is really getting up for this game. It's just another game. And because of that, I still think that Deshaun Watson has been playing lights out this year, and you can't discount that. As much as I want to throw the Texans in the garbage and just forget about them until 2021, you have to respect what Deshaun Watson has been able to do in such a poor season for the team. And as a result, I'm going to pick him because I think that he, of all things, over everything else, he will carry this team to a victory is what I expect. I don't think the Bengals really have it on their side to get in a shootout with the Texans. I don't think that the Bengals have it on their side to really make huge plays. Like I said, I think they just got up for the Pittsburgh, and I don't see that happening again. So I'm going with the Texans.
No, 100% agree. At the moment, the Houston Texans have won 3 straight against the Bengals. And I just don't really think that the Bengals care too much about making a visit to Houston and upsetting the Texans. I think the Bengals are at a point where they're ready to say 1, 2, 3 Cancun and hurry up and get on vacation. And this will be a William Jackson homecoming coming back to Houston, Texas to show out in front of his family. But other than that, I think the Bengals ready to go home for this season.
Yeah, I agree.
Alrighty then. Speaking of 2 teams that are not going home this season, the Colts and the Steelers. This is, I think, will be one of the better games of the day besides the Titans and Packers. Of course, we'll talk about it later on. And with that being said, I'll be completely honest. I'm surprised the way that you went on this one, Ish, because I really thought you would go with the Colts. And I'll explain why I went with the Steelers right quick. The reason why I picked the Steelers is because even though they have lost 3 in a row and they've looked like crap, this is a Mike Tomlin-led team. And I do not see them losing 4 in a row. And I think this is a great test for the Steelers team for them to get, quote-unquote, their balls back and for them to move forward and forget about what just happened in the last 3 weeks and get ready for the playoffs because nobody can take away the 11 wins that they've already earned in the season, right? So,
that's correct.
With that being said, this will be a great 1-0 week, as in winning this week and go 1-0 to beat the Colts and put everybody back in to say, hey, we're still the Steelers. So, I think being at home, they should win this game. Now, if they do not, that's when my antennas will definitely go up for the Steelers when it comes to we might not see them get past the first round this year.
Yeah. Actually, we picked the Steelers for the same reason. I respect Mike Tomlin way too much as a head coach to pick against his team and say that he's going to lose 4 straight. I just don't see a Mike Tomlin team doing that. Also, it being in Pittsburgh is kind of what made the decision for me because I feel like going home, you've lost 3 straight. What better place to break that streak than in Pittsburgh at home, where you are going to feel more comfortable. And I think it's now or never for those receivers. I think Mike Tomlin obviously had a conversation with Juju after last week's game, and he came out. He said he's going to stop the dancing.
No more dancing.
All that. I think that I think Mike Tomlin had a talk with them and said, like, hey, clean it up, tighten up. Like, none of this distraction nonsense. No more of this playing around. Like, we've done nothing to deserve or earn this playing around that we do before games. Like, focus up before the game and let's get it. And I think that I do expect to see a different Steelers team to come out today. That's nothing against the Colts. I think the Colts still have a very good team. I still do think that the Colts have a shot in this game, and I think that the Colts could win this game. But I just think that the Steelers are going to find a way to avoid going 4 straight, because I think if they go 4 straight, it might be wraps for them if they lose their 4th straight. Also, week 17 against the Browns, and the Browns, if they win week 17 and the Steelers lose today, then yeah,
That is for the division and
it,
the AFC North. Yes, it is. Like it's just saying, if the Steelers lose today and the Browns win in Week 17, we could have a toss-up for the division. And I talked to my boy Adrian Lunsford. I told him a couple weeks ago, what happens if the Steelers meet up with the Browns Week 17 and lose? And he says Pittsburgh as fan base will probably be calling for Mike Tomlin's head, which they probably shouldn't, but it's probably going to happen because that's what fans do. But it's one of those blemishes that will look bad on Mike Tomlin's resume when it comes to, damn, you went 11-0 and you let the Browns come back and take the division from you. That's what's going to hurt more than anything. And also to caveat on this game as well, let's remember for everybody that is watching this game, if the playoffs started right now, this would be the exact playoff matchup, the Colts versus the Steelers. So it's going to be very interesting to see how both of these teams play against each other because they could see each other again in a couple more weeks in the same round, or the same matchup in the first round.
Oh, one last caveat as well. Steelers lose this game, and the Browns end up winning Week 17. You could actually end up with a
Browns Steelers
first round.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
So that would be interesting or you could end up with the Browns Steelers and a Titans Colts.
Yeah. That would be crazy. That would be two divisional matchups in the first round.
In the first round. So this game has a lot of implications outside of just this game. There are a lot of things that a lot of dominoes that will fall with this game and the result in this game. So for that reason, even more so, Pittsburgh, this is a big game. You have got to win this. And I think Mike Tomlin, that's why we saw him step in, talk to Juju Smith-Schuster. He probably talked to the entire team and let them know, like, no more of the playing around. Like, we got to come ready. The drops from the receivers, that's what I'm watching today. If the receivers keep dropping the ball, if I see multiple drops from that receiving core, my confidence in this team will be rock bottom low. I probably won't pick them moving forward because the drops have gotten to a crucial point now, and I think it's costing them games.
And especially when you play outdoors as it is. I'm just saying, it's a problem. It's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
All right, speaking of teams that play outdoors, but it doesn't affect their catching ability, the Kansas City Chiefs play against all they can do is not hold the lead's Falcons. And as you guessed it, of course, Ishmael picked the Falcons to win this game. I kid. Of course, everybody most likely are going to pick the Chiefs. The Chiefs are in not even mid-season form. They're in Super Bowl form. They are ready to go and capture another Super Bowl and pretty much do what Tyreek Hill does and chunk the deuces to everybody that is behind them. And let's be real, it's not too much to talk about in this game. The Chiefs should take care of business, and we'll see y'all Week 17.
Oh, yeah, nothing to talk about. It's Chiefs all day. Tyreek Hill is hurt. He has a hamstring injury, but they're saying they're going to play him and monitor. I would rather they don't play him because I play him against the Falcons. But okay, they're going to play him, and I'm hoping he is okay because if he gets hurt, I will actually be irate. If he gets hurt, or if you see Tyreek Hill leave the game
limping a little bit or something,
just come back Tuesday because be ready for me to light into Andy Reid and everybody in Kansas City for playing Tyreek Hill against the Falcons.
Well, I will say this before you light into Big Santa, the lobster, whatever you want to call him, Big Andy Reid, punt, pass, and kick champion. At the end of the day, we've been players and we've coached as well. When you're a player, I always feel like I can play no matter what. I don't give a damn about what coach say, right? It is what it is. Yeah, okay. But as a coach, what you do? You try to do what's best for the team. Okay. So with that being said, if Andy feels like, hey, you good, your body cheated. But if Andy sees something, Andy's been around the league 40, 50 years already, right? He knows if he sees something bad in Tyreek, hey, go ahead and sit down. I'm going to take your helmet. Go ahead and sit down. Because the ultimate goal is being able to raise another Lombardi for the Kansas City.
Risk it. Why even risk? Why?
You got to risk it for the biscuit. You better ask Bruce Arians, baby.
The man runs full speed all out.
All the time. Yes.
Pretty much every single play. Like, you just asking for that man to tweak something.
That boy don't know nothing about no 80%.
And that's the problem. Like if it were somebody else, I might say like, all right, yeah, I trust them. They're not going to do anything crazy. This man does not know what 80% is. He doesn't know anything below
Nope.
100. So you can believe he's going to be going all out, running like there's no tomorrow. And I don't want him to go out there and pull something because he's still out here trying to prove a point. There's no point to prove other than raising this Lombardi trophy for a second year in a row. That's my thoughts.
I agree. I agree.
He's the player you want to play. So,
well, we are not the coaches. We are just the speakers on the Sports Plug, and that's what we do. And we're going to let Tyreek Hill do what he do. We're going to let Andy Reid do what he do. All righty then. Just like these Bears defense do what they do, and they should do what they do against the Jaguars. Honestly, this is another game where I don't have too much to talk about. The Jags are playing for next year's draft. They are not playing for this season anymore. The Bears should take care of business. I don't think the Jags will put enough points up to even be able to compete with the Bears. Ish, you got anything to say on this one?
No, the Bears are going to win because Jacksonville needs to lose.
Pretty much. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and get up out of here with these losers. Giants versus Ravens. This is a classic Super Bowl matchup, revisited. And, of course, at the moment, both of us have the Ravens winning this one just because if you've seen Lamar Jackson and the Ravens over the last couple of games, they are definitely getting into playoff form. It seems like after the Titans took care of the Ravens in week 11, seems like it put a nice little boot up their butt to make sure that they get into gear, and they definitely have been. And I have a lot more confidence in the Ravens right now than I do the Steelers. How you feel about that, Ish?
No. I don't feel the same way about that. I don't feel like I'm more confident in the Ravens than the Steelers. But I will say the Ravens have kind of turned it up a notch since they lost to the Oilers. They did decide like, hey, we got to play. We got to make the playoffs because really they were playing for their playoff lives at that point. And now they are, just about there. Although Miami might have something to say about that, and they definitely need their divisional foe Pittsburgh to help them out a little bit with Indianapolis because if Indy wins, Miami already won, and if Cleveland wins, Ravens could be a team that goes, maybe 10 or 11 games deep this year with 10 or 11 game wins and don't make the playoffs. That is
it could happen. It could happen.
So, they have no choice but to win, and that's why, Ravens. Giants, I just don't feel confident in them at all.
At the moment, if they were to sneak into the 7th seed and overtake the Dolphins spot, if everything stayed the same, they would play the Bills in the first round. I think that would be a nice matchup to watch, running the ball type of thing. I would honestly love to see the matchup of the 2016 quarterback class with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen going against each other in the first round. I would love to see that as well. But with the Ravens, like you said, it might be a little too late because even if you win today, you're still behind the Dolphins. And next week, if the Dolphins win and y'all win, you're going to be on the outside looking in of the playoffs. So just imagine you won 11 games, you don't make the playoffs, and they added an extra playoff spot too. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
it could happen.
The only thing looking up for them is that they play the Bengals in the last week, and the Dolphins play the Bills in the last week of the season. So that could be something advantage,
but we also could see the Bills maybe sit out some of their starters to where the Dolphins might be able to get a win that they're not supposed to get. So, and then also let's think maybe if the Bills might feel like let's let the Dolphins win because we'd rather play the Dolphins than play the Ravens.
I mean, I don't think that, but I do think that if Kansas City wins today, I think Kansas City pretty much clinches the number 1 seed. If they lose today, then the Bills are still there, and if Pittsburgh wins, then the Steelers would still be there in contention. And then the Bills might have to actually play everybody in that last week. But if the Chiefs win today, that may be it. I mean, if I'm a Dolphins fan, I'm rooting for the Chiefs today because if they win, then you may actually get a chance to play against a Bills team that they're resting people instead of playing them. So, like I said, this is pretty much playoffs. The last 2 weeks are the playoffs right now because there are a lot of implications from these teams. Maybe not directly in their game as much as there may be from other games. But yeah, the Ravens they need a lot to go in their favor in order to make the playoffs, and it starts with beating the Giants. The Giants, they're still technically in contention, but really, let's be real. This team, nobody thought they were going to do anything anyway. It just so happened that the rest of the teams in their division weren't trying to win the division either. So, yeah, I'm just.
Like Ish is saying, George Kittle said this after his game. He grew up a Bears fan, and with the 49ers, with their win, being able to beat the Cardinals, it actually helped the Bears be able to move up in their playoff seeding. So he even said himself, shout out for us beating the Cardinals to help the Bears. That's my childhood team, and everybody in the league knows. Like it's not like this imaginary bubble that people have that or the players have that they don't know what's going on around the league. They know if certain teams win, it helps or hurts other teams' playoff seeding. So, like you said, it's gonna be very interesting to see. This game probably won't be that interesting to watch because the Jets are trash and the Browns. I'll say this: the Browns are coming off of a COVID outbreak of all their wide receivers, and Ish and I talked about this in the pre-show. Not gonna lie, on the outside looking in, you might look at the paper and say this is not an interesting matchup because the Browns should take care of business. But when you look at things, this might be one of those interesting games to watch to see how the Browns are able to construct their offense to beat the Jets. Because if the Browns do what they need to do, as in run the ball, play sound football, don't turn the ball over, they should win this game. Because at the moment, the Browns have more active tight ends on their roster than they do wide receivers. They have 4 tight ends. They have 3 wide receivers. David Njoku might have to play some wide receiver spots to help this team move the ball down the field. I would not be surprised if they put him at a wide receiver and have their other 2 tight ends play a lot more because they have a stable of great tight ends in Cleveland. They are going to have to utilize them. They have a great stable of running backs. You're going to have to utilize them. This is just one game. This is not the AFC Championship game. So do what you have to do, Browns, to win this game. That's just how I look at it like that.
No, I agree with what you just said. Do what you have to do, Jets, to try to get Trevor Lawrence.
Or that.
But I will say this about this game. I did pick the Browns, but the Jets are coming off of a big win last week against the Rams, who are also a playoff caliber team. So the Browns can't just overlook this team. Also, the Jets will be at home, so that's added. Adam Gase, I don't care how much they say that his job is safe. To be honest with you, I think he is trying to win these games in order to ensure his safety. So they may come out trying to win the game because Adam Gase needs his team to win for him so he doesn't get fired. But just to add a little bit to the fire, Quinnen Williams, their star defensive lineman, is out. And so as a result, I just don't know if they have what they need on that front 4 to stop this Browns running game. And that's why I'm choosing the Browns. But like I said, I just made a case slightly for the Jets. But I think the Jets should do what they have to do and lose this game so that they can continue this race with Jacksonville for the number 1 pick.
And also Cleveland has won the last 5 out of 6 against the New York Jets. Alrighty then, Panthers versus Washington. To be honest with you, this is one of those games where I looked at the teams and I hate both of them because they have definitely done me wrong throughout the year. And I didn't want to pick any of these teams, but you definitely convinced me to pick Washington, and I appreciate you for that. So I'm going to let you start off with this one.
Yeah. I picked Washington to win the NFC East. I still think that they will win the NFC East. However, I am slightly concerned. I am hearing that there are some talks in Carolina. They're going to be having a new GM.
Yes.
And you know what happens when a new GM comes in?
Yes, sir.
If you're a head coach that the GM didn't select, your head is quickly on the chopping block. And then that doesn't bode well for a quarterback that was not brought in by that GM. Teddy Bridgewater, your head is on the chopping block. And Teddy Bridgewater hasn't played poorly, but he hasn't been spectacular. He hasn't played like he did last season when he was with the Saints, and everybody was like, hey, this is a guy some teams might want to pick up. Like he's been in Teddy Bridgewater. He's been okay. And I do think that they are looking at him and potentially thinking about what might we do to replace him. They currently sit in the top 5 in the draft picks right now, I believe. So there could be some talk about how do you move a Teddy Bridgewater so that you can get one of these young quarterbacks if you do fall in love with them. But my concern with Washington, of all things, above all else, I'm hearing that Alex Smith is still questionable, and it's a coin toss of whether or not he plays. If you got Strip Club Haskins, who we know probably wasn't studying for the game or game planning at all, he was probably at the strip club.
No mask on, too.
No mask on. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know if I'm confident in Washington with Strip Club Haskins leading the way. I could see Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers pulling this one out. They're not a terrible team. So
They are not a terrible team, but I will say this about the Panthers, and it's very disappointing to say this. The Panthers have lost the last 8 of 9 games after starting 3-2. So I mean, the record at the moment is 4-10, and it's just very disappointing because going into the season, you have a healthy Christian McCaffrey, you have Teddy Bridgewater, coming from New Orleans to Carolina, you have Robbie Anderson coming from New York. You're thinking you might not be able to win the division, but at least compete. At least we can compete. We can show a new type of Panthers team. You don't have Cam no more, that type of stuff. But this, unfortunately, has turned into a first-year coaching team to where everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. It's unfortunate because, like we just talked about, if a new GM is coming in and you haven't shown anything, like Ron Rivera, unfortunately, I won't say unfortunately, Ron Rivera, fortunately, has shown more in his 1 year with all the bull crap that is going on in Washington than Matt Rule has in North Carolina. But here's the thing, I can't compare Matt Rule and Ron Rivera because their resumes are 2 complete different resumes, right? So it's very unfortunate that Matt Rule is getting put in this position to where he's pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? So
I mean, with Christian McCaffrey going down early in the season, he was kind of up against it. And Chad,
I agree.
That one, I love you for that one, Chad.
Studying his X's and Ho's, huh?
But definitely, Matt Rule has been put in a hard spot with Christian McCaffrey going down because really that offense runs through Christian McCaffrey, and without Christian McCaffrey, it just made it harder on Teddy Bridgewater. It asked him to be a guy that he is not. And I think that may be his one saving grace is that people may look at the situation and say, you know what? Teddy Bridgewater is not that guy that is the superstar of the offense. He is the guy that kind of complements the superstar, which would be Christian McCaffrey, and helps to, make the offense run and is reliable, but isn't going to go out and win you games, right? So that for that reason, Teddy may be safe. But Matt Rule and Teddy Bridgewater both need to be looking over their shoulders, and I expect better performances moving forward. I just don't think today is the day to start that.
No, 100% agree with what you're saying, and it's going to be very interesting to see this Panthers organization, how they move forward. All right, let's go ahead and talk about another organization that have quarterback problems every year, it seems like, the Denver Broncos and the LA Chargers. Ish, we did not make this pick, so we're going to go ahead and make this pick live right now for you guys. So, Ish, who you got?
You put me on the spot, but I'm going to say that I'm going to go with the Chargers.
Okay, I like that.
I just feel like the Chargers have a little bit more overall as a team. The one thing that concerns me is that Denver front 4 on defense, they do get after the passer, and the best medicine for a rookie quarterback is to rush the passer. So for that reason, I probably should have picked Denver, but I'm going to go against my boy Drew Lock, who has been talking that hot stuff this week. He has said that he's going to come out and he's going to prove that he's the man. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm going with the Chargers. I think Herbert going to have a game.
I'm assuming he was speaking about him and Herbert. I'm assuming, correct? How he feels like he's a better quarterback maybe than Herbert and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
Like
I think it was. I think it was that. I think people were comparing him to Herbert, and then people were also talking about like how you've been talking about John Elway making bad decisions and how they should have found
yes.
the quarterback for the Denver Broncos. And Drew Lock was coming out, letting them know, hey, I'm that guy, and I'm going to continue proving to y'all I'm that guy. And I think he was saying it because people are saying Justin Herbert has brought the Chargers closer to having a team that can compete with the Chiefs, right? Because in that organization, in that division, you got to have a quarterback that can compete with Patrick Mahomes. And I think LA has found their guy. Las Vegas thought they had their guy, but maybe they're changing their mind now. And Denver has been searching for that guy. And I think Drew Lock feels some type of way because people don't think he's that guy. So he wants to come out against a divisional foe and beat the guy that they're saying has given LA their franchise Mahomes or whatever.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand where you're coming from. I just want to read this right quick. Denver has won the last 4 out of the 5 games against LA. The reason why I picked the Broncos mainly is because of their defense, but also honestly the Chargers, like we have talked about all season long, they play for stuff and then they don't playing for nothing. And they're playing for something and then they're not playing for anything. And at this moment, I just feel like they're not playing for anything. So I just don't see them really showing up, even though they need to. Both teams right now at the moment are 5-9, so this is just a game for mediocrity, pretty much. And hopefully, might get a competitive game out of this. Who knows? We'll see. One game that I know we will definitely get a competitive game out of, no matter how bad both these teams are, the Eagles and the Cowboys. Now, this week, depending on what side you are, is either Dallas hate week or Philadelphia hate week. Both teams don't like each other. Both teams, of course, have a history of not liking each other. And this is going to be a very interesting matchup because I believe in Jalen Hurts. I really do. But for some reason, the Cowboys are trying to bring me back into the light. They're trying to keep bringing me back into the light with their win last week against the 49ers. And they're trying to do it again with the Eagles. I don't see the Cowboys doing anything as in actually winning the division. But I think with all of the stuff that's going on in Philadelphia, I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Cowboys are able to take advantage and win a game that they're supposed to.
I mean, I could see it, I guess. But to be honest, it's hard to go against a hot hand in Jalen Hurts. I know that they lost last week against Arizona, but I don't think that was because they weren't playing like they looked all season. I think that this team has looked different since Jalen Hurts has come in. It seems like they have gotten a shot of adrenaline since he came in. They're playing for something. They're playing for him maybe, and maybe they weren't playing for Carson Wentz. Just throwing that out there. But as a result, I think that they will come into Dallas. And, of course, they want to come into Dallas and spoil Dallas's opportunity to win the division. Like, Dallas has an actual shot to win the division. What better way to, end your season than to come into Dallas and knock them off that pedestal that they, for some reason, are still on.
For 25 years. Yeah, you don't think. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. This is the week that Philadelphia will come in there, going in their playoff hopes after Washington win as well. And then we're going to get rid of the Cowboys fans for another year. They're going to still be talking about back when they won it in the 90s.
Yeah.
And how they're up and coming. And don't worry, Dak is coming back next year. All
that. Good old Dak. Good old Dak. Well, Dak, if you're watching, if you're listening, we hope you recover well. Come back.
We do. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. No, we do. We're not, ain't no hating stuff going on. It's just, we don't see it with the Cowboys. I mean, it's not y'all, it's Jerry Jones, honestly. I mean, at the end of the day, y'all know what it is. Let's not act like let's call a spade a spade. It is what it is. Y'all enjoy y'all little money, enjoy y'all's record, enjoy y'all's one trip to the playoffs, and then, just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. Alrighty then. Rams versus the Seahawks. This is a battle of the first place in the NFC West. And to be completely honest, again, if you're checking out this show, I'm very surprised with my friend Ishmael, who he decided to pick, because I definitely thought he was going to go with Cook and Russ. But he decided to switch it up and obviously hop on your boy X Williams Rams bandwagon, because I've been saying this for weeks now that the Rams will make it to the NFC Championship game.
And then they lost to the Jets.
But it's okay though, because at the end of the day, that is not the playoffs. That is regular season. So with that being said, this is a very important regular season game for the Rams and also the Seahawks. The Seahawks can win this game. Would not be surprised at all if they do win this game. But one thing I know about history, it does not repeat itself, but it is very, very repeatable. I know that sounds weird, but just stay with me. What I mean by that is Sean McVay has Pete Carroll's number right now when it comes to being 5-2 against Pete Carroll. For some reason, he's able to outsmart Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll has his number on everybody out here, it seems like. So for this game, I think the Rams take care of business. I think we might see a part 2 of Jalen Ramsey locking down DK Metcalf. We talked about that in the pre-show. And if the Rams come out and play the way they need to, they should win this game on the back of Aaron Donald doing what he needs to do on the defensive line.
Yeah, as a former defender myself, I like a team that plays good defense. The Rams are arguably the best defense in the league. They've got the best defensive player in the league in Aaron Donald. How do you stop that man? You can't, so you just try to slow him down. But above all things, I think the game is completely different when you got a lockdown corner on your team that can shut a man down. And I expect the same to happen to DK Metcalf as what happened to him earlier in the season. I expect Jalen Ramsey to lock that man all the way down. I don't expect nothing from DK Metcalf. I think that the Rams are going to shut that down. They are coming off that loss to the Jets, so they're definitely trying to redeem themselves. And I'm picking the Rams solely because of their defense. I'm not picking them because of Jared Goff and the offense. Although they have a decent offense, Cam Akers is hurt, so you got you're going back with Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown. But yeah, I think that defense is what's going to power them to victory. The Seahawks, I think Russ is going to cook a little bit. He's going to have a little bit something to say, but at the end of the day, the Rams going to win this game. They're going to take over, I believe, with that win, they will take over the division for the Seahawks, and then the Seahawks are going to move down into like the number 5 seed or something. So,
like you said before, playoff implications. A lot of these games have some real playoff implications when it comes to moving forward. The one thing I will say about the Rams as well is that I feel like this will be one of those playoff, get right games. These are one of those games that it gets you right moving forward. Right. Exactly. Yep. And I think that the Rams need this. And early in the season, I think a lot of people thought the Seahawks were going to do something this year. I'm more worried about their defense. We have to wait and see how their defense over the last couple of games, because this is not the LOB defense. It's good defense, but it's not. It's a good defense, but it's not being led the defensive way in Seattle like it usually does. It's being led by Russell Wilson. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this Sunday night football matchup, the Titans and the Packers. Now, this is a game I've been waiting on since last week. And to be honest with everybody out there, since last week, and Ish, you can also, back me up on this. I was not going to pick the Packers. Going to pick the Titans at first. I was worried. I was petrified. I was thinking that the Titans were going to just let the Packers score 50 points on them and run over the Titans. But I feel like because, not the defense, but because of the offense and the way the offense have been playing over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks with Tennessee Titans, I feel like it will help push the Titans to victory, because at the moment, both teams are averaging 30 points a game this season. So if that is the case, we do know that it's going to be a shootout. So we have to wait and see who has the ball at the end of the game. Hopefully it is the Titans. We can run the ball a little bit and finish the game off with a Ryan Tannehill drive to win the game.
All I got to say is God save the King. In King Henry we trust. I have said it all year long. I have been on the Oilers bandwagon since the very beginning. I just think that the Oilers know what is at stake here. For one, they got to get into playoff shape. They're playing against a good offense, so this is a good test for that defense to get them ready for the playoffs. Two, bragging rights from AFC versus NFC. This is the number 1 seed in the NFC going against the number 4 seed from the AFC, and I definitely believe the AFC is by far the better conference, and I believe by a lot. If the Oilers had a better defense, this wouldn't even be a competition. I would say without a doubt the
I
Oilers
agree.
would go into Green Bay and they were going to mop the floor with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
I
But
agree.
because of that defense, that is the only reason why the Packers have a chance in this game, and the only reason why I think that it's going to be close. But I'm still going to go with the number 1 scoring offense in the NFL. I'm still going to go with King Henry, the best back in the NFL. And I believe that they're going to run the ball. And then when Green Bay decides we want to stack the box because we're scared of King Henry, Ryan Tannehill is going to tear them to pieces. I think a lot of people underestimate what Ryan Tannehill does in the passing game. He is able to tear a defense apart when he needs to. And that is why I think that this Green Bay defense is not that great, and Tannehill is going to shred them. Once they decide they want to stop King Henry, Tannehill is going to shred them.
Let people that don't watch football keep thinking that Tannehill is Miami Tannehill, because honestly, I love it. And I'll be the first one to say I did not want Ryan Tannehill to be the Titans quarterback because I did not believe in him. But over the last year and a half, to see that how he plays in this system, it's been a breath of fresh air. He has the perfect piece for this system. And to be completely honest, I'm also worried about our success because not just on my side, but also the Kansas City Chiefs side. I know that Ish can also backdoor me is when you are successful, your coordinators start leaving because they are going to start getting head coaching jobs. Our offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, most likely might leave after this year. So same thing with offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy on the Chiefs side. So for certain teams, it's now, because if you do not win now, unfortunately, some of these pieces might leave and you're not able to capture what you wanted to capture with maybe the best team that you ever had. This is the best Titans offense team we've ever had. And for us not to be able to capitalize on this, if we do not we have to make it to at least the AFC Championship game. At least. Yeah. If we do not make it to a Super Bowl or even win the Super Bowl, I feel like it's a failure of a season, even though the AFC is so tough. I will say that. And also to finish off on this topic as well, I feel like this also might be a Super Bowl preview.
Oh, it could be, but let me give one shout out real quick because
yes, sir.
While I was bigging up my man Ryan Tannehill, I forgot to say AJ Brown is a grown man. Okay, so
yes, he is. Yes,
if you want to stop King Henry, you still got to be scared about that grown man that got out wide in AJ Brown. Don't
forget Corey Davis.
I mean, you got Corey Davis, but what I'm talking about is
I'm just saying
AJ Brown alone, just that one guy. You can't double him because you do still got Corey Davis. You do still have
Juno Smith, tight end.
Juno Smith. You still got what's his name? Humphreys.
Humphrey's been out, but yes,
but he's been out.
Khalif Raymond is our third wide receiver.
Raymond, and then last week I did say it on when we were reviewing Week 15. De'Arrington Evans, the backup running back that they just drafted this year from Appalachian State, he did catch a touchdown pass out of the backfield in garbage time. If he is catching the ball out of the backfield and they develop a 1-2 punch with King Henry and that guy, this offense is going to be an offense that you do not want to see in the playoffs. Like, they are actually a top offense. I think a lot of people have been sleeping on the Oilers. They are a top offense. They really got the pieces to make a run to the Super Bowl. It's that defense that I am terrified of. I think everybody outside of the Chiefs and the Bills, maybe, I'm going to pick the Oilers moving forward. It's just, are you going to get the right matchups in the playoffs?
That's the main thing, sir. The right matchup. Same thing we saw last year with them going against the Patriots, and them going against the Ravens. It was all about the right matchup. So we have to wait and see. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this show with Monday Night Football, Bills versus Patriots. Any other Monday Night Football game with the Patriots and Bills, this with Tom Brady, this would have been a very interesting matchup. But, of course, since Tom Brady is not there anymore, and with the Bills already wrapping up the AFC East last week, this should be a little bit of the sprinkles added on to that Sunday that they've already made for the Buffalo Bills. And to be honest with you, with the Patriots not making the playoffs this year, I would not be surprised at all if this is one of those games where they are also saying 1, 2, 3 Cancun as well.
Okay, let me just say this. This is probably a Monday night game that we should have scrapped. We should have got somebody else in here because the Patriots are not the Patriots of old. The only reason why I can think of them wanting to still have this Monday night football game is to air the passing of the guard. They want everybody in the nation to bear witness to the passing of the guard, bear witness to Josh Allen and this Buffalo offense tear New England to pieces. Although Bill Belichick, let's not discount Bill Belichick's pettiness in knowing that his team has finally lost the AFC East, and everybody saying, they're going to have to start rebuilding the passing of the guard. The AFC East is no longer owned by New England. Don't discount Bill Belichick's pettiness of wanting to come out on Monday night and develop a great scheme to make Josh Allen throw some picks, because we know Josh Allen has had a problem with picks in the past, especially against the Patriots. It's possible. It is very possible. Being in New England, Bill Belichick may have his defense ready to play, knowing that they're going to be on Monday night. And I could see Josh Allen struggling a little bit. I still think the Bills will win. Even if Bill Belichick does that, I still think the Bills are going to win, because it's just the Patriots don't have anything this year, all right? Cam Newton's not leading anybody to a win against a playoff team. Cam Newton is just – you're not the guy. I'm sorry.
Now, I will say this. Everything you said is 100% correct. And I love the build-up. I love everything that you said about Bill Belichick, because it is true. Bill Belichick will come out with a scheme on national television to show all of y'all how still great he is. Mm-hmm. And everybody be like, what the hell? How did Patriots beat the Bill? And we're going to be looking around like, damn, we did say it happened. And I would not be surprised if it happens. But just not this game, because just everything that the Patriots are missing and all that stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised. The Patriots might win by 3 points, that type of situation. Again, the Bills already have the division locked up, and they know, where they're moving forward.
Yeah, they're not really worried about it.
So it's just one of those things where I 100% agree where you're coming from. And then also a quick little fact as well: Buffalo is 2-16 at Gillette Stadium in the Belichick era.
I'm saying Bill Belichick, that man, he is petty. He will not just go down without a fight.
No, I 100% agree with you on that one. And, of course, before we get up out of here, just want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's this whole season, the preview show, the recap show, everything. Thank you guys for supporting us. And, we're in for a treat. Week 16, week 17. I don't know about week 17. Week 17 should be okay. Unfortunately, but that's what I was going to say about week 17. Some of them we could have had even more excitement, because some of them could have been for the actual divisional title. I was hoping Buffalo and Miami was going to be that. It could be Cleveland and the Steelers. The Titans are playing in Houston next week. Still trying to figure out if I might go check that one out. I don't know. I really don't want to be around Corona folks, but we'll see on that. But other than that, is there anything you got to say before we get up out of here on the preview show?
No, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure that you watch as many games as you can today, because it's going to be exciting. There's a lot going on. And then make sure you tune in for the recap show, because trust me, we're going to have a lot. I think based off of today, there's going to be a lot to talk about. Oh, yeah. I definitely agree. All right. Well, for the preview show, you got us on Sports Play, X and Ish. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. What we going to go on Tuesday at 10 o'clock-ish? I think that might work out. Yeah.
We'll do Tuesday, 10 o'clock in the morning. We'll see you guys then.
All right. Peace.